What's up, everybody? Michael Ninja back at it again, and I'm here to talk to you to see if any of y'all have ever tried to open your third eye. No, you're not going to have special powers, but you must be able to handle the knowledge, the power that comes with the knowledge. Of course, you're not going to believe until all the message is received. So I wanted to open my third eye, and I wanted to know what happens, and it's a lot of stress for me. You do have to take a lot of time to relieve stress and get rid of a lot of energy that you pick up in your everyday life, like through work, through home, through children, through friends, through family, the stress that they impose onto your life. You have to learn to get away from a lot of negative energy that drains and disrupts your energy. Okay, so what I did to start this journey was I wanted to look into, is there aliens? So I looked up aliens, which then got me into researching ancient aliens. Okay, yeah, don't listen to the comments. Just do the research. Okay, imagine you're reading your university book and you hear all these comments about this teacher doesn't teach the class right. The materials in it, like all this sarcasm creates chasm, a crack in your knowledge of education, in your spirit, in your soul. Chasm is dangerous. Chasm comes in many forms. Understand that we need balance, and once you begin your journey, people are going to try to knock you off. People are going to call you crazy. People are going to try to debunk everything that you're learning. But once you start to learn the spiral of information, you'll start to see a straight line. Okay, so my search started with aliens, which then led to ancient Egypt, which you then start to research all the ancient figures like Osiris, Ramses, Ramses, King Tut. You start learning the bloodlines of the ancient Egyptian, and then from there you go back to their creators, which is the Anunnakis. The Anunnakis are in the Bible. The Anunnakis are the beings who fell from heaven. They're the ones who took the daughters of man. They're the ones who laid with the daughters of man, creating nephilims, creating giant bloodlines, which still and continue to rule over the world. We don't see them, but they impose human cronies with great power and wealth to hide their secrets and keep them protected and safe, kind of like Dracula. Okay, you have Dracula, Nosferatu, and then you have his minion, like his Igor, like the person that tends to his casket while Dracula, the vampire, sleeps. That's what people are. We're the ones tending to their coffins as they sleep, just before they wake and create destruction, as the Bible says, and devour man, and so on and so forth. Imagine stocking up on food just before the time they awaken. That way they have plenty of food supply for a very long time. Okay, so now once you go into the giants, there's stories of the giants of Kandahar, which is recent time now, where they found 12-foot blue muscular being with red hair in caves in Afghanistan, in the Middle East. Basically, you'll learn that the Middle East is the Annunaki portal. It's where the aliens had their battle. There was a lot of nuclear destruction. Could explain why all the sand is there. It talks about Enki and Enlil. You start to learn about Enki and Enlil are gods. You start to learn the words in the Bible are true, half the part that's not manipulated. You start to wonder, okay, so where the Bible come from? And if you research phetomy the first, or aka serapis christus, that'll lead you to who invented Jesus Christ. Think about it. The great debate. Is Jesus Christ real? Okay, so serapis christus basically took the images from the hieroglyph and translated it and recreated today's Greek mythology. From Greek mythology, that's where everything was whitewashed. That's where, not technically whitewashed, I'm sorry to say that, but there's different fashions of stories designed for each race to understand the story. Okay, so white people have their story, black people have their story, Asians have their story, Indians have their story. Everybody has the same story, but the images are different because it's created in the likeness that you would accept. Okay, so just imagine one person being the same exact godly figure throughout time. Like, so Serapis Christus commissioned the Council of Nicaea to write the Bible. Okay, look into it. Council of Nicaea around the year 2043 wrote the Bible, wrote it in a fashion to enslave people. Look into it. Okay, if you're really churchy and you have faith, is it because they tell you to have faith, or is it because you've done your research and you question? I didn't say you didn't disbelieve in God. You just question his existence. Okay. Is God an element? Is God a particle? Is God electricity? These are all good questions to ask. Another thing is Serapis Christus, or phetomy, the first. How does Jesus Christ get the same name as Serapis Christus, Christ? Okay, because he commissioned the bishops of Christ to push the movement, the story of Christ, okay, to control the masses. That's why the Bible was unleashed on the earth. It's hard to take in. I know it's hard to take in. Okay. Look at it. That's why Caesar Borgia was nominated as the image of Jesus Christ. Okay. The description of Jesus does not match the description in the Bible. How is that possible? Okay. Look into the Council of Nicaea, which then, you start to question the characters in the Bible. Like, they all have English names, but they live in the Middle East. Okay. Peter, Paul, Matthew, so on and so forth. Okay. John, Gabriel, so now the Bible also opens up and says, Lucifer is the morning star. Lucifer is the bringer of light. It also says Jesus is the morning star. Jesus is the bringer of light. So what does that conclude? I mean, think about it. God, Lucifer is the angel in heaven, but his title changed once he came down to earth. Now, everybody says his title was Satan, but what if his title was Jesus? God gave his only begotten son And Lucifer comes down with almighty power like a god. And all demons and all hellions bow down to their God, their Jesus. Jesus is the most powerful name. So who's to say? I'm just saying. Okay. So just something to look into. Okay. You don't have to believe it. Just look into it. Just take the knowledge and then wrap it with everything else. Okay. So now it moves on. I move on from the Bible to you know, um, you know, government cover-ups, secrets. What are they covering up? Aliens. Why are they covering up aliens? It goes all the way to the past with the aliens, with the Egyptians and you know. Now think about it. You have the Egyptians, which are the hieroglyphs and all the kings and all that, Ramses and King Tutankhamun and Cleopatra and all that. Okay, so now go further back to the Anunnakis. Now that's ancient times, not ancient Egyptian times, which is different. Egyptian times is placed in Egypt. Ancient times, these are our creators of eternal life. They live millions of years. They're Enlil, Enki, their father Anu. Anu is basically the God of the universe. God himself. Enki and Enlil are his children. Okay, look into it. Okay, I ain't making this up. I'm researching it. I'm learning. I'm studying. I'm putting it all together like a brainstorm. You gotta, in order to see the big picture, you gotta look at every single pixel or pixel in order to graft an image in order to establish a background or a foreground. You see what I'm saying? There's things happening in front of you, and then there's things happening behind your back. Look at all the times you spend at work, 10, 15, 20 years. There's a lot of things happening behind the scene while you were at work enjoying, your everyday sinful spoils. Indulging in the money you make, splurging, gluttony, overeating, going out, enjoying, drinking, parlaying, relationships, ups and downs, anything to just distract your mind from understanding the real existence of life and what's to come. Okay, the Bible tells you what's to come. They know what's to come. And it sucks to be controlled, but at what point in time do you really have control of your life? I mean, you have control of bad choices, but you have no control over what's to come. Okay. Now, in learning about Egyptian times, then finding all these strange occurrences and events, then you start to think about time and relativity, and when you look into time, then you start to question, is time travel possible? And from what I believe, yes, it is possible, and yes, it has been going on since, if not Nikola Tesla, Enoch. Who is Enoch? Enoch is in the Bible. Look him up. He is not in the Bible, but if you look at his story, he's actually influenced the first part of Genesis. He is the author of the first part of Genesis, where God created heaven and earth in 7 days and so on and so. Now in 7 days, 7 days to the gods is like maybe 70 years or 700 years, quite possibly 7,000 years. thinking the math is 700 for every one Anunnaki day is 10 years of our lives or something like that. So a 24-hour period for them is 10 hours of our lives, 10 years of our lives. That would equal to 70 years, right? So anyways, took that many 70 years, possibly 70 generations. No, maybe 4 generations to create us, our final physique. Okay, so it's a lot of information. So is time travel possible? They start to look into time travel. They start to reveal that in 2028, time travel is going to be commercialized. So if it's commercialized, that means it's obviously being used as of right now. They explain that of course you can travel into the future, but you can't travel. You can also travel into the past, but they've signed a treaty in 1982 not to travel beyond the past to change any history. But there are time travelers who are not with the government agency. Therefore, they go and they step outside the boundaries and the rules and create disruptions. People don't believe in time travel. We'll look into the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect is where lots of people believe in one way, one version, and then there's a different version out there, and people can't grasp when and where it happened. Things like certain movies with Star Wars, Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolate, life was like a box of chocolate, that changed. The famous one where did Sinbad make Shazam and not Kazam, made by Shaq. Even Sinbad doesn't remember it. The one with Star Wars, Luke, am I your father? Or no, I am your father. Even James Earl Jones said, Luke, I am your father. It's even in the movies. There's one where Sally Field goes, there's a speech, and I even watched it myself. She goes, you like me, you really, really like me. And if you go back and watch the speech now, she says, you like me right now, you like me. But if her phrase was even used in Mask by Jim Carrey, where he has the trophy and he's like, you like me, you really, really like me. Go back and watch the movie. It's in there. So the Mandela effect is real. It's changing Ford. Ford used to be F-O-R-D. Now if you go look on the back of the Ford, it says F with the loop on the bottom of the F, which I believe is the time travel pigtail. Like we went back in time and fixed things. I could be on a different level, but look into it for yourself. Let me know. Okay. So from time travel, into the future, so time travelers came back and said that dinosaurs, when they traveled to the past, had feathers. And if you look back a few 10 to 15 years ago, they came out and said that the T-Rex may have had feathers. So where are they getting this information from? Obviously, they're getting information from a future type source. Now, with all that, brings me to aliens. Again, now with the aliens, which they said will reveal themselves in 2028, you start to go down the types of aliens. Okay, there's different types of aliens. Nordic aliens, there's reptilians, there's zeta reticulars, there's the list goes on. Draconians, there's the tall grays, the short grays. The list goes on. Do the research, okay? And then with that, you start to learn the Plaedians, the Archurians, the galactic Federation of light. You start to learn that there's fifth, sixth, seventh dimensional beings that can influence us and can manipulate our reality, being that we're three-dimensional beings. Keep in mind that three-dimensional beings can only perceive 2 dimensions, and 4-dimensional beings can perceive and manipulate 3 dimensions, just like we can manipulate 2 dimensions. Okay. Again, two dimensions can only travel like this, so it's like a piece of paper. When you write and draw on a piece of paper, that's 2 dimension. We're 3-dimension, height, width, and and height, width, and mass. Therefore, we're a 3-dimensional being. We can be perceived from all different angles. Okay, now 4th-dimensional beings, well, it's a combination of all 3-dimensional being, and they can look and manipulate all of it. So, at this point in time, doing my research, where the planet is changing its vibration, it's growing in its masses. Its magnetic pole is shifting, which is creating this different, unpredictable type weather that we're not used to. It all coincides. It all goes together. All this knowledge is a swirl. Okay. From the weather to the planet, basically it's cooling, but the crust is expanding, so the earth is expanding. In doing so, again, it opens up chambers and layers and caves under the ground, in which these giants have been resting and sleeping. And in the Bible, it says these giants in the end times would come up and out of the ground. They'll be spit out of the ground, and that's basically what's happening. Is there's these giants that are awakening and coming out in areas that are remote that we don't know that's happening right now. Could explain the reason, the presence of our military troops in Afghanistan, and we won't leave. Okay, so we're trying to keep that area checked and regulated. Okay, so this all goes back to the epic battle between Enlil and Enki, which are basically the symbols that you see over and over again. Symbols, symbols, symbols. Remember, they can't communicate to us through words, so they communicate through us through symbols. There's the eagle and the reptile, the serpent. Okay, anything that associates with the bird is Enki. Anything that associates with the snake, reptile, lizard is Enlil. Okay, so you have the 2 brothers that fight amongst each other. Think about it. Think of like Omega, Alpha and Omega, like the white and dark, or light and color. Okay, it's an epic battle. They're always gonna be fighting. There's always gonna be a war between the 2, because it goes and dates all the way back to our ancient time. Okay, one always wants to be greater than the other, and I believe certain characters in time and history represent one or the other of these 2 beings. Just like Lucifer, devil, Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, Father of Deception, of Lies, all the same title, but who's to say, like, it's not the same, in different times he comes in different forms. These are just questions that arise that makes you search and dig deeper and further. Don't be afraid of getting it wrong. There's nothing to get wrong. It's all there. It's all research. It's expanding your mind, trying to understand what the meaning of life is. Why are we here? Why are we plugged into this system? When you listen to the Pleiadians, they even tell you that we're manipulated by the governments, and the government people are given wealth and power, of course. So they want to keep that. They don't want to lose that. So they're gonna maintain by any means necessary through murdering its own people, to to deceiving its own people, poisoning its own people, all kinds of deceptive tactics in order to control the masses of the world. Okay, so now population of the world is growing beyond their control, and that's the reason why they need to depopulate. It is above and beyond their control. We are not running out of land. There's plenty of land. What they're doing is they're congealing everybody into cities, and getting you out of land. If you travel from city to city, you'll see there's land upon land upon land. So how is it that there's homeless people, and there's all these homes, and there's all these lands that homes could be built on, but yet we're running out of land? Okay, no, what it is we're running out of resources because we're over using our resources. We're just throwing it away, and then we create synthetic type resources. These synthetic type resources is not good for us. We have to cut the carbon emission in our air. We have to preserve everything on this living library we can. You got to learn your soul. You got to learn your spirit. You got to learn to love yourself. You got to understand that positive thoughts create positive outcomes. Negative thoughts create negative outcomes. You got to understand that our thoughts are powerful, okay? When you wake up in the morning, you're like, hey, I want to be happy, and you go throughout the whole day, there's going to be hundreds of people trying to break that happiness down because they don't understand why you're happy and they're not. So it's a challenge, okay? It's tough out there, but that's just the way life is. So anyways, the study just continues to go on and on and on, and you can't be closed-minded. You have to open your mind, okay? It is a little shocking. It is unbelievable, but this is what I like to research rather than sit around and just gossip about who did this and who did that, and all these stats about ball players did this, and he had 30 points, he had 20. But how's that going to help you, though? All it is helping you in conversations with your buddies and hoping that, you know, they choose you to be the next manager. You know, come on now. Look, what about, you know, physics? What about levitation? What about free energy? What about you know, free resources for human beings? I mean, we have to tend to this planet. You know, why can't we use the resources? Why are there people hoarding all the resources and then selling it back to us? You know, we're paying for power on the power grid, and if you realize, like, power don't just come into your house and disappear. No, power comes, illuminates your house, but it also continues a flow, a current. It goes back to the power company. It does not just come to your house and end there, you know. So the price and the rate on you tapped into the electricity grid is just outrageous, you know. It should be lower, if not free, because, man, think about it. So even water, now water, that's different, you know, charge to get it to you. Yes, I understand, but if you're going to get it to us, make sure it's not contaminated. Make sure, you know, whatever you're adding isn't adding to the worst of your health, but to the best of your health. You know what I mean? Don't deplete our water system. You know what I'm saying? And if you're depleting our fresh water, then you should at least be using some of that money of your profit to clean up salt water. I know it's not your responsibility, but you should kick off and be the first to start it. And then many other companies will follow, and of course politicians will then give benefits to providing cleaner environment, uplifting, because we're destroying it. We're destroying this planet. This planet, Mother Earth, Gaia, is mad at us, you know. So, you know, with the plastic and so on and so forth, you know, they say they got an organism that eats plastic. You know what that organism is? You. They break it down and put it in your foods, and you're eating it and digesting it. That's why you have gut problems. That's why you have digestion problems. That's why you have ass cancer. That's why you have teeth falling out, hair loss. That's why you have all kinds of bullshit going on with you, because you're not taking care of your health. Whatever you're doing to cause your health to deplete, do the opposite. Reverse it. Do the opposite. If you're eating too much, stop eating too much and eat less. Stop eating less. Eat healthy. If you're going to eat healthy, then eat more. If you're going to eat more, then do exercise. Burn that energy. Burn that sugar off. Because if you don't burn that sugar off and you just go to sleep, you lay down, that sugar then turns into fat. That fat just sits on your body. Okay, now when you use your muscles and your muscles begin to get hungry, they're starving. When they're starving, they need nutrients, and the only nutrients they can dig on is that fat. And when they dig on that fat, it's not like they just eat the fat. No, the fat is now broken down into sugar again. That sugar then goes into your muscles and gives your muscles that energy it needs to continue to do what it's doing. People with stomach, like myself, I have to do crunches and sit-ups in order to do core, training or manipulation in order to keep it tight. If I didn't, I'd probably be wearing a size 42. Okay, so it is also the types of food you eat. You got to keep it to portions. If it's more than a bowl, it might be too much for you to eat, So, again, it's a lot to take in. But if you hit like, comment, subscribe, we can talk more, and I can add more of the things that I research. I should have wrote it down, but I could add more of the things that I research into another video for you to look into. Oh, and drink pH plus water. Okay, keep your pH balance high, because pH kills cancer. It creates an environment in your body that cancer cannot thrive. Okay, cancer thrives in acidic body. So rise your pH above 7. Okay, but keep it below 10, because above 10 can create different types of alkaline type problems in your body. Okay, so you have to keep it like a heartbeat within a certain 7 to 9. Okay, keep it right in that pH. 7 and 7.9 is the best, but 7 to 9.0 is okay. Drinking higher pH water will help to increase your pH level in your body. Okay, so you'll see those pH waters in the store, drink them. Now, stay away from water that has been sitting in the sun. If it has been sitting in the sun, there's chemicals that come out of the plastic. That chemical will create hair loss. That chemical will create digestive problems and issues and stress and clogging and everything in your body. Okay, stay away from businesses and stores that don't do proper practices with plastic and water. Okay, do not fund those people. They are killing people. Okay, there's no law in slowly killing people. There's a law in killing people fast. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, sorry for taking up your time. That's 30 minutes, 33. Have a good day. Live, love, respect. Peace.
Is that Michael Ninja?